Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are going to play the intro. I didn't actually mean to come live. So we're going to play the intro. While the intro plays, make sure every single one of you is smashing that lovely like button for yet another show talking about that player. But anyway, let's get cracking with the intro. I'll be back. Smash the likes. Good morning, my fellow Blues. Just in a comment straight away that I just need to acknowledge and respond to. Clickbaiting fellow City fans not good. Wirtz or Gibbs-White, I'll leave now. So ultimately, it is not clickbait because you've just answered the question and you saying Wirtz or Gibbs-White, why not both, right? Clickbaiting is where you're doing something for me that is fake. A debate like this is not fake. It's a conversation. Me personally, I think I'd rather both, if I'm being honest. In fact, no, I'd rather a different one. But we're going to get into that. And also, by the way, you already know my opinion on this. I'm so bored of talking on Gibbs-White. I actually want Gibbs-White at this point to arrive and play so we can judge him. Because at this point, we're judging Gibbs-White based on Sweet FA because we're basing it on a Nottingham Forest team. Yeah, that's my opinion because I do think we get him. Shout out to RA saying, love Man City from India. Right, Martin is going to be joining us shortly. Yeah, he's got a lot to say on it, I believe. Let's just, while we wait for Martin to arrive, though, we are one step closer to Champions League qualification. Anyone that watched the game last night, the Crystal Palace v Forest game, Was it entertaining? Do you know what? Maybe the second half was a bit more entertaining. First half, not so. I think Forest were damn lucky to get out of there with a point. Second half, Forest were really bad. I mean, Forest second half were probably about as bad as they were first half against us at Wembley. Crystal Palace, though, you know, we've got them in the final. They look good. The one thing I would say is, if I'm Crystal Palace manager, I am not bringing Eddie Nketiah on ever. That guy is a shocking footballer. And watching him at Crystal Palace now makes me understand just how much Arsenal fans must have been gassing that guy up when they kind of got a bit excited about him. Because, and not all Arsenal fans did, to be fair. But that guy is awful. Was Palace saving energy? Yeah, maybe. Did feel a little bit like that. At one point, it did seem like they're trying to play out for a draw, but then actually, I think Palace turned up the energy on them a bit. Potentially, they would have got a winner. Yeah, Thunder Road. I hear what you're saying, bro, but you know why it's so wild? Because it tells you how bad my eyes are. My eyes are really bad. And by the way, just so you know, if I'm looking at this screen, I'm not squinting because I can read it. This screen is the normal screen distance. The one over here is quite far away. So when I'm looking here and trying to read, I do have to squint. Whereas when I'm here, I don't need to squint. But yeah, one of my eyes is absolutely shocking. But yes, Eddie Nketiah, if he hadn't have touched that goal, do we think that was going in? Because I think it might have been going in, you know. I think he should have probably... You know when McAtee... who was it against when McAtee jumped in the goal to get... Basically, he would have been... Who was that against where McAtee jumped in the goal to get out of an offside position? Anyway, Forest now still out of the top 5. Was it Aston Villa? Yeah, it was Aston Villa, wasn't it? Yeah. Do you know what, by the way? And that was so underrated. So underrated how quickly he jumped in that goal. Because if he would not have jumped into that goal, that would have been ruled out. And the way McAtee thought quickly, shit, let me get out of the way of this. Let me answer some of these questions, though. Jinxed it for the final. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Nick. I do hear what you're saying. Nick, I always used to do that. Do you know the one that was proper worrying me was the Champions League final, Edin Dzeko? Because we all know as City fans, right? We all love singing the Gerrard slipped, Suarez cried, the Scousers dreamers fucking died, City win 5 in a row. We're all singing Edin Dzeko, right? And I was going into that Champions League final against Inter Milan thinking, Zeko's going to score the winner against us, isn't he? Luckily, he didn't, and history was made. But, right, who would I... Where was it there? Daps, who would you rather not make it? Right. Yes, Bevo. If, and this is a big if Arsenal could not make it, I'd love Arsenal to not make it, but I'm pretty certain Arsenal will make it. Other options. Who would I like to not make it? You lot in the comments, you lot tell me. You lot tell me, who would we like to not make it into the Champions League next season? I mean, I could say Newcastle, because Newcastle Champions League, spend money, get better, and then become a real threat in the league. Chelsea, I always think Chelsea, maybe because of that Champions League final. I ain't really got any personal beef with Villa, the way they treated Grealish, maybe. Yeah, I think everyone in here is saying Chelsea, yeah. I mean, Arsenal's one. I'd love Arsenal to not make it, but I think Arsenal are probably nailed on to make it. So, yeah, maybe the way that Villa, yeah, that's a good one. Chelsea think they're bigger than us, which, by the way, I always like to remind people of this. Chelsea, before the money, yeah, and I mean before they had money, before we had money, they had less majors than us. So, of course, definitely the rags, but actually, yeah, do you know what? If anyone can miss out on Champions League football, it's an absolute no fucking brainer. It's Man United. That one is killing me. But that's a different route in which we have to put all our faith in Spurs, which is not a good place to be. Right then, I can see that the main man has joined us. So let me get the overlay. Bring him in. Hello, mate. We can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can see you now.
Yeah. Sorry, laptops. I'm not on my laptop on all weekend. So, you know when you don't put your
What's
laptop
not supposed to be? Yeah.
you know when you
I
don't
do
put
that
your
the
laptop
weekend.
on for a
Yeah.
day?
Yeah. Bear with me. I'm just going to move these boxes a little bit, make them a little bit bigger. Either side of the halfway line, I reckon.
Yeah, whatever. I'm always in the offensive half.
Offensive or defensive half?
No, I don't defend.
Yes, Bevo saying Martin looking sharp. Right. Right, where do we start with this? So I was just saying, did you watch the game last night, actually, before we move on to other pressing topics?
I watched bits. I watched more the first half.
First half was pretty shit.
Yeah, listen, it wasn't the best game from both teams. It was two weird teams.
Second half, Crystal Palace were substantially better than Nottingham Forest. I think Forest, the amount of cards Forest got yesterday as well, by the way. The amount of cards Forest got was mad.
I don't know. I think Forest have just dropped off now.
Well, I felt like so Forest's next game is Leicester at home. They'll win that. They'll win that. If they don't win that, then fucking hell, they are in a complete meltdown. And by the way, I've got a few mates that live in Leicester that are City fans, and obviously speaking with Wolfie and speaking to actually some Forest fans that were on the way to the FA Cup final. Leicester fans apparently force a rivalry with Nottingham. Nottingham don't see Leicester as rivals. They see Derby as their rivals, right? Leicester proper try and push this rivalry. So Forest, if you do lose to Leicester, then yeah, that is not a good look. But second half, but for me, that West Ham away game for Forest now, the form they're in at the moment, that West Ham away game now looks far, far, far more difficult than it should be for them, right? So
yeah, I don't think Forest make it. I don't think they make it.
Don't know. It just Wolfie's messaged me. I messaged Wolfie last night, and he said it's fine. A draw's fine for us. We win against Leicester, we win against West Ham, and then we draw or beat Chelsea at home, and we get Champions League football.
But they're not doing that. It's
that's the thing.
Doing
they
that.
Keep saying that's exactly what I was going to say. Wolfie keeps saying, "Oh, it's fine because we do X, Y, and Z." It's like, but in the last couple of weeks, you're not doing the X, the Y, and the Z. Exactly. Now the X is gone, you've only got the Y and Z, and it's like, and you didn't do the X that you were told me you were going to do. And I think at this point, it's dangerous grounds for them. I do think it's very dangerous. And to be honest with you, that's a complete fuck up if they don't get it. Right?
I don't mean but at the end of the day, Chelsea are winning games.
Yeah,
they are now.
So, Chelsea have actually got into a bit of form.
But why is it a gimme that Forest beat Chelsea? Right now, on form, Chelsea will beat Forest.
Yeah, I hear it. I do hear you.
I don't get the confidence. I really don't get the confidence. I think Wolfie's doing copium. He knows he is.
Yeah.
Because he chucked away the FA Cup like it was some minor trophy.
Yeah.
When you haven't won a trophy in 30, 40 odd years, I'm sorry.
Well, do you know what? He actually on Never a Foul, he tried to have that debate with us, right? And was basically he was having the debate, I think, with the Chelsea fan. Then he said, "Daps, let me ask you." He said, "If City had the choice of an FA Cup or qualifying for the Champions League football," I said, "Hold on. Very key context to this: is this now, or is this back in 2011?" Right? Or 2010. Yeah. I said, because I can tell you now, I'd take the FA Cup all day long. Back in 2010, 2011, when we hadn't won anything.
It was FA Cup. That FA Cup.
The FA Cup all day long. It was the whole for me, me and Alan, in fact, on Friday, we're having a debate about best FA Cup victories of all time. And I said, although, of course, the FA Cup to win the treble against Man United has to be up there, the FA Cup semi-final against Man United in 2011 has to be up there as well, because without that, potentially, none of this would be here, right? That first trophy and that route to the final against Man United, that was massive. So, yeah, I do think probably.
I mean, here's a question. I mean, I have this debate all the time. I've had this debate with so many people. Is the FA Cup not part of the treble?
Yeah, 100%.
So why is it a minor?
It's not. No, see, this is the thing that. Yeah, I hear what. It's not my. Right.
The treble does not.
I wish the FA Cup was still seen as a major. I mean, is the FA Cup a major or is it not a major? I don't know. For me, I wish it was, because when we grew up, it was a major, right? But it's what it is. Is what it is. But I mean, that result again, we're looking nailed on now, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it. I think I've said it for weeks. I think City will get second or third and we'll win the FA Cup.
Second now.
Yeah.
We will see.
Arsenal have got to, now. I'm not one of those who think Arsenal will drop out of top 5. Arsenal will make it. I think City win all their games.
Right, yeah.
I think Arsenal will get. I don't think they beat Newcastle.
Is that right? For me, I think it massively rests on tomorrow night, because if they qualify, yeah, I think they might not beat Newcastle, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they don't qualify, that's where it becomes an interesting one, because you could see a bounce back or you could see a complete meltdown. And the one thing I will say is Arsenal defensively, without Gabriel, are nowhere near. I'm sorry, but it just... And by the way, I'm not going to use this to slander Saliba. For me, it just shows how important partnerships are with centre-backs, right? Because, we saw Gabriel without Saliba. He wasn't half the player he is now. Now we see Saliba without Gabriel, and I think it's pretty similar, right?
Well, not only that, by the way, which you're talking about quite right, Arsenal also got to win at Anfield.
Yeah,
now,
true.
Yes, I understand.
True, yeah.
I understand, and I won't say the word.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do win at Anfield.
I think they'll get a draw, but if I had to put, if I was a betting man, are Liverpool going to want to lose 2 games on the bounce? First game back at home since being champions?
Slot won't. And even more so, it's the first game at home since they've lifted the trophy back at home. But also, it's a fact it's against their title rivals this season. Yeah. You don't want to win a title, then go and lose to your title rivals. So
I mean, just to go back to the Forest thing, they haven't won a trophy since 1990. That's his 35 years.
Yeah.
Where has... And listen, I have no issue with Forest. I really haven't got an issue with Forest.
No.
I think they're a really good club, great history. 1, 2... I won't call them Champions League because they weren't. They were
1, 2, but no, don't be bitter. They won 2 Champions Leagues.
No, they won 2 European Cups.
Yeah.
It was very... No, that's... Not being bitter. It was a very different competition.
I hear you.
Very different competition.
But I dislike the fact that the Cup Winners' Cup's discredited, because back then the Cup Winners' Cup had a lot better teams in it.
I'm not flexing and saying we won the Champions. What Brian Nigel Clough in his dreams, what Brian Clough did will never ever be replicated.
Yeah, facts. We just facts. Yeah.
But for a team that I would not... Do you know what? And I've had this issue. I think this is a fan thing in 2025, if I'm honest with you. And in the last sort of 5 years, Leicester City won the league. And I saw a change in some of their fans. They suddenly became, rightfully so, maybe they won the league and champions, and I get it. And they were like, Champions League, we're going to have a go at it. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah, I do hear what you mean.
Enjoy the ride. I see it with Newcastle fans. They won the League Cup. Now they're talking about winning the Premier League and the Champions League next season. And I get it. excitement and everything else and doing something you're not used to is brilliant. Absolutely wonderful.
You become
I
so
don't-
entitled. I can't lie, Martin.
But-
You have become so
No,
entitled.
I haven't. I'm the total opposite, and I'll explain that. Stop trying to wind up you. But
Listen to this main mode loser fucking talking down on heritage.
no,
What is
no. Listen, I think Nottingham Forest are a fantastic football club. As Villa, I will never disrespect them. But the way they're talking, as though like they're Real Madrid, sack Nunes, sack this. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Wait,
I do hear what you're saying with that 100%.
Because I know what
I do.
Wembley. I saw your state pre-game Wembley, so God knows what you were like coming out the ground.
Well, that was before I started on vodkas. Once I got to the ground, I started on the vodka. I was on the run, bro. I'd had 2 or 3 magnums before I met you. Then I was on rum in there, and then when I got to the ground, I was on vodka. So yeah, I was smashed.
Yeah, I was because I was in the blue car park, so I had to go, which is actually right at the back of the Forest end.
Oh, nice.
We had to walk, me and my lad, all the way through the 30-odd thousand Forest fans. Literally, you could spot us a mile away.
Yeah.
We were like the blue dot in between a sea of red. I mean, you should have heard them. They were like, some of the comments. I'm like, have we played Real Madrid today? We played Arsenal.
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Is this?
I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean with that sometimes where, yeah, I do know what you mean with that. I hear what you're saying.
But I will say, I think entitlement has gone everywhere. I see it from City fans. I see it from every fan now. I think it's a 2020 thing. That's what it is. Pat, piss off.
Sorry, I've got to super chats. No, bro, it's a super chat. I have to respect the super chat. Martin's sense of entitlement is nauseating.
Yeah.
I mean, Martin, it's
until we get on the Morgan Gibbs-White stuff, you'll see how entitled they are.
Bevo's saying, imagine getting second in our worst season. The Arsenal meltdown will be iconic. You know what? It's not just second. It's second. It's an FA Cup. I don't think we do get second for me. I think we do get third. I don't think we get second. But we get an FA Cup. And although I know some rivals will downplay the Club World Cup, and listen, we might not win the Club World Cup. Some of those South American teams, it's coming at the perfect time for them. So we might not win it. But if we ended up winning this, if we ended up coming third and winning an FA Cup and a Club World Cup, fucking hell. I mean, that shows how our worst season. It's even mad. I can't believe we've won more games than Arsenal this season in the league. I don't know how that has happened either, but it's what it is. Listen, the likes are on 74. There's nearly 200 of you in here already, which means the likes should be way, way, way over 100. Back when we first started this channel a couple of months ago, we were hitting, we often had more likes than we did viewers, right? So everyone watching this right now, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it on playback, please, please, please tap the like button. It will mean that I don't have to ask again, and it will mean that this channel's pushed out to other people. And of course, then we can tell all the other lovely people about Martin's channel, Mancunian Way, which is also in the title, so you can click on that. Now, before we move on to the main topic of conversation, which I keep swearing I'm not going to talk on, and Martin, we had someone that said, this is clickbaiting. I'm not going to watch this. You shouldn't be clickbaiting Man City fans. But it's not clickbaiting, right? It's just having a conversation that needs to be had because there seems to be a bit of a meltdown in our fan base. Now, I'm going to start off with this video.
Florian, oh, art thou Florian? I believe you're looking for a new football club, my mate. Hey, England, Manchester, Etihad, de Stade will be playing Champions League football next year, my friend. Yeah, how about you take a little 2-2 Ryanair jet from Leverkusen over to Manchester. We'll get you a nice hotel stay. Little 2-2 medical, £300,000 a week. Couple bonuses thrown in there. 2-2 Ballon d'Or in a couple years. Champions League. Happy days. You want to go Bayern Munich, little 2032 Bayern Munich driller. Happy days. We get the next up and coming star. How about it, Florian? Florian. How art thou, Florian? Smash the likes up, man. Come on. I'm fucking seshed off my head.
There you go. Flash up. Make sure you do smash up the likes and appreciate the super chat from MCFC 9320 podcast. Well, I'm going to do a bit of Shakespeare as well. To Gibbs-White or not to Gibbs-White? That is the question. Over to you, Martin.
Seriously, I don't get the meltdown. I seriously don't get the meltdown. I've seen it, I've heard it. I'm going on shows, I'm listening to, watching other chats, and it's like, if I read one more time, by the way, we're Manchester City. We should be getting better than Morgan Gibbs-White.
Now that's entitlement.
I'm starting to question how long they've been a City fan for. But the simple fact is, they don't know how to, because our transfers, Morgan Gibbs-White is actually the typical transfer we've always done. Florian Wirtz is the complete opposite of typical transfer we normally do. And there's this belief at the minute of it's Gibbs-White or Wirtz. When was that ever a thing? When did that get put out?
So that, and by the way, the bit below, someone has to explain why our online fan base has turned into a hate cesspit, why some fans already put more Gibbs-White. Right. So if I'm being honest with you, Martin, you know, so I've done a poll. People, make sure you're voting in the poll. The poll gives 4 options. Gibbs-White, Florian Wirtz, Gibbs-White and Florian Wirtz, or Florian Wirtz and someone else. Now, I personally have gone for Florian Wirtz and someone else, right? However, my biggest worry now is because I have accepted we are going to probably get Gibbs-White. Although my biggest worry is how much we pay for him. By the way, papers already reporting 100 million. Now that is what worries me. That if elements of our fan base are already completely turning on him, right, and it's looking likely like we are going to get him. If the fee is then a lot, my biggest worry now is, before he even lands, he's destined to fail, right? And that's where I am with it right now. Because, and I think, like you just said, that the whole Wirtz or Gibbs-White thing, I think Ornstein ultimately kicked that off, right? But I'm seeing this weekend, why are we replacing De Bruyne with Gibbs-White? And it's like, fuck's sake, man. And it does seem like some outlets are trying to push this agenda that Gibbs-White is. And look, and by the way, it doesn't help that I watched Forest last night and I'm watching and I am seeing Morgan Gibbs-White playing in the 10 role, right? But just because he plays in the 10 role elsewhere, that doesn't mean he's going to be playing in the 10 role.
Jack Grealish played in the free role at Aston Villa.
100%,
Number 8 and had the freedom of Villa Park. He came to City, got put on the left-hand side and told not to move off it.
You know, this is fair. The poor last few transfer windows. I mean, to be fair,
I'm going to kick back on this.
Hold on, SDL. So, firstly, the last transfer window wasn't a poor transfer window for me. That was January, right? The summer, I'm fully with you. The summer was a shit transfer window. The previous January, I think, was a non-existent transfer window. But the one before that, I'm sorry, but for me, the transfer window where we brought in Vardy and we brought in Kovacic, I think at the moment where we are with Kovacic is probably, if we're being honest with ourselves, our second best player this season.
Yeah, and by the way, our last, what do you mean by our last few? Because let's take away last season where we bought Savio. Let's take that out. Because we've all admitted, and I don't want to do the time travel stuff again, we have made an error. We didn't buy. So what? Fine, we move on. The window before and the window before. Did we not get Haaland and Alvarez? Did we not bought Josko Guardiola?
Hold on. And this is, I actually spoke on this yesterday. This is a good point below. After 1 year, people wanted Rodri out. Really good point. Really, really good point. Right. So where I am is with Morgan Gibbs-White is, and this is where, you know, I know that certain deals can probably be done sooner than others, but if you look at Morgan Gibbs-White, for me, if we get Florian Wirtz over the line, first, right? Get that done and dusted. And then Morgan Gibbs-White is another player coming in this summer. And if we end up paying, I'll even go 65 million, right? Then I'm cool with it. Completely cool with it, right? And part of that is not only my opinion on him, it's also the pressure on the player. Because if he comes in and we're talking 80 or 90 million, the pressure on him is going to be so much. But if we go back to that Haaland transfer window, when we brought in Haaland and we brought in Alvarez, we also brought in Ortega and we brought in Akanji, right? Who no one was blown away by. But if we look at it, they've actually come in and done quite a good job. So that's where I am. I'm not mad at the Morgan Gibbs-White signing.
And let's be straight. When Calvin Phillips come in the door, nobody was.
I was.
You might have been, but generally a lot of people were okay with the Calvin.
That was bro. I from the minute I saw Calvin Phillips coming into the line, it's for me. It was a Rodwell signing that.
Yeah, and I get it, Daps. But at the time, Calvin Phillips had been voted the best English player in the whole of the league or something.
Yeah,
he was up there. He was motoring Leeds United. He was doing it under Bielsa. And if you remember at the time, so I remember I went on a Leeds channel, and they were disgusted that City only paying 45 million. They were talking 70, 80 million.
Yeah.
Genuinely, that's what they thought he was going to go for. Liverpool were interested, United were interested, we were interested, and he came to us for 45 million.
Yeah.
Now, this big thing of, because everyone says, well, I don't want Gibbs-White, I want somebody else. So they give you an Adam Morton. Adam Morton and Gibbs-White don't play the same role, for one. So you can't really compare the two.
But I'll be honest with you. Me personally, I'm not blown away by Adam Morton either. I'm really not blown away by him.
So here's my question then. Have we just gone off homegrown players?
Me personally, because here's another one. Right. I've always been anti-Eze, yeah? because I think he hasn't been consistent with it, right? However, recently, I think Eze is starting to step up a little bit, right? But this is the thing. I get where we're going to play Morgan Gibbs-White, right? And this is where the money is the biggest frustration to me, because for me, I think someone made a really good point. The amount of money we paid for Akanji, when I mentioned Akanji, and the amount of money we paid for Ortega compared to the amount we're paying for Morgan Gibbs-White. I think we do have to understand that English tax is a thing. It's a real fucking thing.
I'm also going to say something else. Don't look at Eze the way he plays for Crystal Palace and presume he's going to be allowed that freedom at the Etihad.
But also, like City Pulse said, and I'm just mentioning Eze because he's homegrown, by the way. Eze, right, I think I tweeted this yesterday. There is a world where Manchester City buy Florian Wirtz and Morgan Gibbs-White, right? There is also a world where Manchester City would buy Eze and Morgan Gibbs-White, right? I don't believe there is a world where Manchester City ever buy Flirts and Eze, because they play two similar positions.
Well, you've got Foden, you've got Echeverry, you've got Mamouche. You go on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
So here's my other thing is, I mean, like Bebo's put there, but now after homegrown, it's in other areas. City have already, we're now, and start of May going into June, our transfer window open in 3 weeks.
Yep.
City are not going to stop all their other targets in other areas because they're a bit unsure about at homegrown in the midfield.
Yeah.
So, for example, I read someone said last night, why don't we get Ramsdale as our backup goalie? Well, one, Ramsdale doesn't want to be the backup goalie.
Yeah, true. That's why he left Arsenal. Yeah.
Number two is, well, then someone Anthony Robinson. We don't want Anthony Robinson. We can't just side bowl in a left back. The left back that looks like they've made the moves on is the Wolves guy, whose name totally gone over.
What's his name? Nori.
Yeah.
Nori.
You've got Nori at left back, and Cambiasso.
Yeah.
So they're not going to change that. And the other thing you got to look at is look at our midfield targets over the last 3 or 4 years. Bellingham, we've looked at Adam Wharton, we've looked at Rice, and now we're at Morgan Gibbs-White. Does that not tell you the kind of person, player, profile Pep wants in that midfield?
All right, so I do think. Look, I've said from the start, and probably at the start of the whole Morgan Gibbs-White thing, I think I was more defending the signing of Morgan Gibbs-White at start, right? Because I get this quota thing. This quota thing is a thing that's not going to go away. And I do hear what you're saying, because I think if I was to ask fans, Cambiasso or Robinson, a lot of fans would say Cambiasso. And it's like, okay, cool. If you'd rather Cambiasso, then that's why we're going for Cambiasso, right? But then in that case, we now need to go for an English midfielder. Where I am is, obviously,
you're going to have to sacrifice someone else to get that there. This is what some people don't look at. They don't look at what we've got. They don't look at the amount of foreign players that we've got currently. They don't look at where we're on with the homegrown. Now, listen, hand on heart, if I was given the choice of Morgan Gibbs-White as my number 1-8, I probably would like a Reinders or someone else.
Yeah.
The problem is, if you get Reinders, you're going to have to stop a foreign signing somewhere else.
Yeah. I do hear you on that.
But then you don't get Cambiasso, you don't get Wirtz, because our quota gets too many.
Or you keep Grealish, which some people
want really Grealish.
Or you keep Grealish, and then
you keep Bernardo.
And you're keeping no, because Bernardo's not homegrown. Bernardo's not homegrown. So I'm saying
he's in your foreign you're going to have to make sacrifices.
Yeah. I do hear what you're saying. I think for me, that's what's frustrating me a lot as well, is that now it's the fact that, right, we're in, what's the date today? It's the 6th of May today. The transfer window doesn't open for another 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we've got the whole transfer window. We're not going to be able to see Gibbs-White in the 8 role, because he is coming. Let's be honest. We all know he's coming. The only way I think he doesn't come is if Nottingham Forest completely hold out for fucking mad money, right? And I hope to God, that is where I really do hope this club don't become fucking obsessed with Gibbs-White like he is the only option, and end up putting mad money into it. That's my worry. But we need to see him in the 8 role to judge him, right? In the 8 role. And that's what I think everyone, we have to keep saying.
I don't think you can
we
judge
can't.
him now.
No, because I watched him last night. He's in the 10 role.
Yeah, he's not only that. His mind may already be somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But he's not, bro, he's not even, like, the whole thing is, yesterday, I'm watching that game yesterday to see this energy, right? To see this engine that everyone tells me Morgan Gibbs-White has got an engine. So I watched that game yesterday to see the engine. I didn't see the engine.
Oh, I did. But listen, I'm not.
What, yesterday?
Yeah. I thought he did do a lot of running, and I thought he passed the ball nice. Like I said, is he someone who's going to catch your eye? No. Would he be my number 1 target? No.
How much would you? All right, how much would you pay for him?
With the way the market is now, I think you're looking at 60, 70. You're not getting any player for less than that unless they're on a release clause.
All right, so let's just look at, because I've seen the Grealish thing, people saying Grealish hasn't got the engine. I hear you.
You got to remember, Nottingham Forest paid 45, and Wolves get a 10% sell on if anything above that.
All right, but what? Let me just put something out there, right? I think we're both going to presume McAtee is going, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're both going to say.
But that's the first thing I've seen. McAtee's better than Morgan Gibbs-White. No, he's not. You're just saying stuff.
Let's just say McAtee is going. Yeah, McAtee's gone. What if we were to keep, and everyone else in the comments get involved as well with this? What if we were to keep Morgan Gibbs-White? Sorry, keep Jack Grealish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Nico Gonzalez in the 8 role.
That's fine, but then you're keeping Grealish. then you've got to give really Grealish to go. Then this Grealish hate's got to stop.
Because this is the other thing that I am looking at slightly.
Because it's nothing to do with Grealish.
No,
people want the big names, Daps. They want the big names, and we've never bought big names.
Sorry, I'm just reading. If we add Wirtz alone, Wirtz and another number 8, that is 65% of total votes in the poll. Yeah, I hear you. Because I'm just I'm thinking in my head, Rodri's back. Rodri's playing in the 6. Right. What does this mean to Gonzalez?
No, it's just, well, what does it mean for Foden? This is all about rotation. Pep said he wanted a bigger squad. Phones,
yeah, I hear you. It's just, I'm just looking at other options.
And I'm going to be straight. O'Reilly's very good. I know Bebo talked about O'Reilly, and I think he's going to be a superstar. Do I think he's ready right now for the midfield? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I think he needs one more season to bulk up a little bit more.
I was talking to a mate of mine last night, and I saw something on Friday night which worried me just a touch. Saw it creeping in at the Forest game. These pirouettes and drag backs and all this stuff he's doing. I'm like, well, where's that come from?
Who's that? Who are you talking about?
O'Reilly. All the little pirouettes and the drag backs on the ball. And
where's that come from? That's come from his. I mean, that's come from him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I don't. But he did it on Friday and lost the ball, and Pep bollocked him.
But at the same time,
you know, Pep ain't going to stand for that.
No, I hear you. But at the same time, I want that stuff, right? Because that stuff shows me that if we didn't see that when Nico started, right? I want it to be controlled, but I want that stuff. I want Nico O'Reilly to feel that fucking confident, yeah, that he does start balling out like when he was at the academy, right? So I do hear you. Pep needs to go, all right, there's times and places.
Because all we've done, because the reason this meltdown happened and everyone told me 1 in 14 happened was because we didn't spend money in the summer.
I'm not saying we shouldn't spend money.
No, I'm talking you. I'm talking in general. So, yeah, well, he was under. So, how are we? And Andy only don't want Gibbs-White because he's a red.
Oh, sorry. Breaking news. Mate, there's plenty of Liverpool channels having meltdowns about fucking your star boy leaving, but you happen to be here. 130 charges verdict soon. So none of these players will sign for you. Well, we all know they will. But listen, there's more chance of a lot of players signing for us than there is you. But we really appreciate you being here. There's an absolute meltdown going on in your fan base. Just go and deal with that, mate. Yeah. But listen, we do appreciate that Liverpool fan is watching a Manchester City podcast. So thank you.
You know what it is to me, Daps? It's the level of vitriol. It's the level of nastiness coming out in this Gibbs-White stuff. And people say, "Oh, it's an opinion." It's not. Calling him, Shitinio and all these other names that are coming out. That's not.
Come on, Gibbs-White is far easier than Shitinio.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But there is no analytical viewpoint behind that. Saying that, all these naming about 12 players, but he's got into the England national team this year. Got called up.
Oh, Martin, that's not a flex. Oh, Martin.
So are we saying right? So are we still? So back to my point. Are you telling me the English team is not good enough?
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, hell yeah, I'm telling you that. Yes.
Right.
And one more, yes.
So you have scrap the eight homegrown rule then. Scrap it.
Oh, but for me, if we can scrap rules, I think the homegrown rule is a shit rule, because I think the homegrown rule encourages exactly this. What we are doing right now, is we are going to go out and spend excess money on an English player, a homegrown player, and that then blocks academy players. So I do think the homegrown quota thing is not correct right now, because it does fucking mean that certain, do you know what I mean? It does mean some academy players don't get a look in because we have to bring in one that's over the age of 23, right? Yeah. I don't like that. So I don't think the rule is perfect by all means.
No, listen, I totally agree. I don't think the rule is perfect either. I think I know why it's there. I don't fully agree with it, but the trouble is, I get it. Everyone wants Rodrigo. They want Reinders. They want the nice, sexy names that are 80, 90 million, 100 million. If City spend 100 million on every single player, will be bankrupt by the end of this summer.
Yeah. I do hear, but and that's my right. And that is my concern with the price on Morgan Gibbs-White. Right, is that I just feel it's a lot. Right,
we're not paying 100. Jack Gordon did an interview.
Jack Gordon said not 100. Perfect. 80's too much. 80's too much. 70.
How much would Wharton be?
For me. But again, I'm not saying go and buy Wharton. But again, I don't rate Wharton. I don't want Wharton. Right. My whole thing is, my worry is that we're spending a lot of money on a player that might end up being a squad player. That's my worry. Is Morgan Gibbs-White, for me, a come-in and a guaranteed starter?
Probably not. It's probably a rotation. I'm not arguing that Morgan Gibbs-White is a world superstar. I'm arguing about the nastiness that's been done about it.
100%. That's shit. And by the way, I said to you before, and I mean it. And this is why I want him here. Because I know we're getting him, right? So there's no point in me throwing my toys out the pram and saying no. And one of my biggest issues is when we keep throwing our toys out the pram when nothing can be done about it. But for me, I want him here now so we can see him and then judge him. Whereas at the moment, I think all of this, and I think the money is going to make it worse. Because right now, it's a meltdown within our own fan base. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a meltdown all season.
We pay 80 million or plus 80 million, 70 million more for him. Then the pressure on him next season from rival fans is going to be even worse, right? I've already caught Cass when I've been watching Never a Foul, and I can hear Cass kind of, to me, it's not as bad, but to Patrick.
Right, can you just do me a favour? Put SDL's comment up, and this is my whole point. And I get it. The fans want actual world class. I get it. But to get world class, you are talking 80, 90, 100. We cannot spend 500 million on five players.
Hold on. This is where, right, it's such a... No one will ever be happy, but Martin, there are players out there that can do the 8 role that are a lot better than Morgan Gibbs-White.
So name me the world-class 8s that are classed as world-class, because that was a comment, world-class. So name me the world-class 8s that you're going to get for 50 million.
Reinders is 60
You're
million.
Not getting Reinders for 50. Just signed a brand new contract. I don't know where people have got this. You're getting him for 50 from. You're not getting Tonali out of Newcastle.
Oh, we didn't. Yeah, of course. I agree with you. I think the other frustration is, and so again, we can't do anything. We can't do. We
need to give alternatives. No one gives alternatives. You just
someone did give Reinders. Reinders is the main one everyone wants. But I think right, we would get Reinders for less than we'll get Morgan Gibbs-White.
By about 10 mil.
Right, but we get a better player for less money.
Potentially.
That is one. And I do hear what you're saying. There will be
Reinders. Out there. I'm not saying we don't. Trouble is, why would AC Milan let him go?
And I agree with this. We don't need world-class players for rotation players. I do hear this. But then my point is we don't need to spend potentially 80 million on a fucking rotational player.
We're just throwing numbers in the air at the minute.
Right, Martin. Nottingham Forest paid 45 million for Morgan Gibbs-White, right? In total, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nottingham Forest owner is a very, what's the word? Where you want to achieve a lot, right? What's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I can't think of the word, but you know what I mean, right? He wants to achieve, yeah? He's not going to sell him for peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
They potentially, if they don't get Champions League football, but they still may well, ambitious, thank you, that's it, ambitious. If they do get Champions League football, then the chance of them selling him becomes thinner, or they're going to want more money. This owner is not going to allow us to walk in there and pay 60 million for Morgan Gibbs-White.
Okay, so what about the kid at Galatasaray? 25, 26, but what's he called?
Gabriel Sara.
Yeah.
I know nothing about him. The Sheikh is on Thursday. He did a big piece on him a couple of
How
years
much
ago.
can you get him for?
Probably get him for about 30.
30?
What?
You don't get championship players for 30 million quid anymore, Daps.
We do,
This is not 2019 anymore.
No. Hold on. We do, because we got a Kanji for 15 million, right? So you can get
Yes,
players. Sorry,
5 years ago.
Hold on, Martin, another one.
5 years ago.
Hold on, Turkey is going for 25 million, right? So
Turkey's at 10.
No, but hold on. But Martin, don't move goalposts. You just said to me you don't get players for 30 million anymore. So I'm telling you, you do get players for 30 million.
Right, if Turkey's that good, because this is my point everyone says.
Turkey is good. Turkey is good.
No other team wants Gibbs-White. Don't see a load of teams lining up for Turkey at 25 million, so cheap.
And I think it's mental, because I think Turkey's a good player. And do you honestly not rate Turkey?
I don't think he's flavour of the month. Nobody was talking Turkey until Leon went into meltdown financially. No one was talking him.
Yeah, because the price is so good for that quality of player. Bro, 25 million for Turkey, and you're going, don't know if it's a good deal.
Don't buy Wirtz and get Turkey then.
Look, I've said if we don't get Wirtz,
because everyone's suddenly become accountants and they're all scared of money all of a sudden. Forget the 130 million on Wirtz, get the cheaper Turkey at 25 because he's so good.
But the whole thing is, yeah, I wouldn't be mad if we ended up getting Turkey for 25 million. I really wouldn't.
Fine.
I think for 20, but my whole thing, the reason I brought him up and brought up, you said you don't get players. You didn't say the role. You said, and by the way,
I don't think you get a lot of players.
Furthermore, 10s cost more than 8s usually.
Unless you go abroad. And again, we've said we have already got a limit of where we're at on the foreign contingent.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. By the way, we're just putting a puzzle together. I do agree with you.
Then, let's change the question. Maybe that's better. How do we solve the homegrown issue? What would you do?
What would I do? Right. So I think the problem is that, oh, by the way, I don't know if you've seen that apparently Everton are actually quite keen on fucking Stones. That's relevant to this. I'm a bit shocked at that, and about paying fucking about 35 million for him, which is mental. But anyway, I don't know, Martin. I don't know the answer to this, right? I'm set on getting Morgan Gibbs-White. I've accepted the reasoning. I remember day one of this Morgan Gibbs-White thing. I accepted we're probably going to end up getting him, right?
No, I'm just asking.
But when for me, it's the price stinks. And by the way, if we end up getting him for less than 60 million, then I won't be as mad, because I think less than 60. Yeah, no, Bruno G is not possible. Look, we should have got Bruno G last summer. We should have paid 100 million for Bruno Gimenez.
Release clause.
We could have.
Because they were going to have to have put 100 million.
Yeah, but that's what I just said. We should have.
But again, this is where people don't understand the PSR stuff. When was the release clause expiring?
It expired, it expired during the transfer.
On the season previous his books.
Martin,
City couldn't stick 100 million into the books then.
Right, okay, fair. If
Still
that is
paying off Jack Grealish. This is what no one looks at. Everyone thinks it is FIFA and you just go bang,
you really
bang,
are an accountant now, aren't you, Martin?
I've done a lot of research on PSR.
So on this one, solve the homegrown problem by promoting some of our EDS starlets. You have to be, I believe,
don't get classed as homegrown because if they're under 19, you can have as many EDS Pardo in your squad as you want. They're unlimited. You can have unlimited Pardo.
Yeah, I think this is my worry. When a club overpays for a transfer, it puts unnecessary pressure on the player, and that is where I am with this thing at the moment. Like I keep saying, what's this? Raid Palace. It's going to be Wharton or Eze. They're going to say, right?
Wharton's between 80 and 100.
I would agree with you.
80.
Hold on, Gay should not be coming into this conversation because he's a centre back. Right?
No, I'm talking about their homegrown. I'm talking about their homegrown.
Right. But the problem is with Gahey is, you're right. If we go in for Gahey, then we're going to be facing fucking potentially Chelsea, potentially Liverpool, potentially Man United, I guess. We're going to be facing a lot of teams, and every team that is in there is going to push probably an extra 5 to 10 million on the players. So Gahey will cost a lot of money. Eze, the reason why I would say don't raid for Eze is because Eze would be a Florian Wirtz, right? It's an Eze or a Florian Wirtz. I don't think. Adam Wharton, right? I do agree with you. I think that Adam Wharton would cost more than Gibbs-White, and for me with Adam Wharton is talented player, but he's a 6. He's not an 8.
He's a 6-8 sort of hybrid, a little bit more than an 8-10 hybrid.
Yeah. I mean, look, more probably Palace. I think will want more, and he is a little bit injury prone. See,
I would love Branthwaite, but I think he's injury prone a lot. The trouble is with the
Branthwaite is injury
rule,
prone. That's a worrying one. He's injury
because
prone.
they've got this homegrown rule, and they've got to be 21 and over. They've got to have been club trained for 2 seasons.
Yeah,
because they don't have to be English. It's more club trained between the ages, I think 19 and 21, or within that time.
And again, this is a great one. Listen.
I'd love him, but Newcastle ain't selling him.
But bro, I hear you on this. He actually, if there's one English player that I would absolutely fucking love, it's him, right? I would love Livramento, right? But I think, Newcastle would want insane money for him, and that's if they even would part ways with him. People, please keep getting those likes up. 300 of you in here. The likes are sitting at, what are they sitting at? 155. Let's get those likes up closer to 200. Please, everyone, just give a quick check. Is the like button lit? If it isn't, please give it a like. And if you're watching it on playback, and also make sure you go and check out the Mancunian Way, Martin's channel. Any other English players out there?
Because the trouble is, I mean, listen, I am totally fine with Livramento, but then do not do Cambiasso.
Yeah, but cool, no problem.
That's the kick-off.
No, but I would rather, if I'm honest, if this is a puzzle, right, and the puzzle is how to get an English player, I would rather not get Gibbs-White, get Livramento, and not get Cambiasso.
But that's my point. No, but that's my point. Why are we saying our whole transfer puzzle has got to be changed because there's a big kickback on Gibbs-White?
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Have you sent the super chat in? Bear with me. Sorry.
No,
let me just check this.
Rico Lewis can't be classed as homegrown because he's under 21. Bob O'Reilly's doesn't have to be classed as homegrown because he didn't have to be put in the squad. Ake might be leaving. Spike Brits I think he's still young enough.
Right, here we go. Sorry, apologies, I didn't see that one. An injury to Morgan Gibbs-White would kill the transfer on the spot. This might be the reason why he is not playing as well. Pedri for 200 million, I'll take that deal. Bro, I'll be honest with you. By the way, I haven't been checking any sort of Barcelona transfer news, but I don't believe Barca would sell Pedri.
He's doing that to wind me up because it's his favourite thing. In every space we do, Spartacus just chucks in Pedri for 200 million.
Yeah,
he does it every single space.
I think we'd all have Pedri, wouldn't we? We'd all have Pedri.
Oh, yeah. I'd love Pedri and Yamal and all that, but that's not the way our board operates or ever has. I mean, I don't understand. This is the other thing people are not seeing. Since Pep's come in, you had Gundogan, Stones, Gundogan 20, Stones 50, Leroy Sané 37, Bravo, Nolito, Gabriel Jesus, and Zinchenko. None of them.
Nolito was the best bit of business we've ever done for me.
Kyle Walker.
Absolute
by the way,
signing.
at the time we got told we were spending way over the odds on Kyle Walker at 50. Bernardo 43, Edison 35, Danilo 26, Mendy 52, and Laporte 57.
Have you got a list in front of you, or are you
I've got it all up in front of me. Okay. See, I come to these shows researched and up and prepared, mate. And then obviously 2018 Mahrez, and we got Felipe Sandler. 2019 Rodra, João Cancelo, Angelino, Zach Steffen, Scott Carlson, Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake, Ferran Torres in 20. 21, Grealish, Carson. I know Alvarez was 21, but he was pre-done, and we brought him in the summer. When Haaland came in, Calvin Phillips, Akanji, Gomez, Ortega, Perona, and then last season was Nunes, Doku.
All right, there's another one. Actually, fuck it, let's throw there.
We've never bought world superstars. So where's it come from?
We have bought superstars. You can't say we've never bought superstars. We have bought superstars.
Name them, man. World superstars.
Haaland.
World class.
Haaland was a world class.
I said apart from Haaland.
Okay, Kevin De Bruyne.
We got rinsed by everyone when we bought Kevin De Bruyne.
Kevin De Bruyne was a superstar when we got him. You go and look at the season he just had in Wolfsburg. I'm not going to hear.
No, I agree, but that's go and look at what.
All right. Another world class player we've bought. Yaya Toure was a world class player.
Wasn't world class.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Nah.
Bro, and I'll be honest. Hold on, and David Silva.
David Silva, yeah, but was he in that world class bracket?
Tevez, to be fair.
Oh, what are you doing here?
Bro, Tevez, I swear Tevez is fucking...
If we're putting Tevez in world class, then your world class levels are so low, it is unreal.
Bro, right.
When I say world class,
hold on. I don't want to...
Zidane, Figo. And you're chucking me bloody Tevez.
This is a big...
George Weah.
but right, if we're saying, I don't want this to turn into a what is world class debate, right? Because I hear you. Look, if world class is there's only one player in every position that's world class, okay, cool. Yaya wasn't world class. But for me, and probably I would say, yeah, my opinion on world class is probably a bit bigger than other players, yeah? Rubinho. But Tevez, Aguero, for me, they were world class. They were like...
I wouldn't say Rubinho.
But I think what we're doing here is... But I do think what we're doing here is we're becoming a bit... I don't know what the word is, but we're becoming a bit too precise on what the word means. I think when people say world class, they're meaning players.
Icon and Robbie Fowler.
I know some of the names that are going up there. Peter Schmeichel.
You know, no, I don't mean that.
David Seaman was a world class keeper, but for me,
yeah.
If what they're meaning is they're not necessarily saying starting the debate of whether world class or not world class. They're meaning players that you know are going to come in and fucking do things, right? Yaya Toure, David Silva, Tevez, Aguero, all of them. You knew what you were getting, right? Players. Do you know what? I'll even go as far as to say, even with Gael Clichy, you know what you're getting with Gael Clichy. When we signed Gael Clichy, there is no question mark. You know he's coming in. You know he's going to do the job.
But what I mean is, when I'm speaking with people, they're giving me Rodrigo. They're giving me, all these sexy names. That's what
I mean, right. Yeah,
he's basically, I basically call him
Mahrez is another really good example.
Instagram FC.
Yeah. I hate Mangala Bravo, Bonnie.
I can't believe Bebo's saying that. Rubinho came from a starting Real Madrid team. Why were Real Madrid selling him, Bebo? And he didn't even want to come to City, by the way. He thought he was going somewhere else.
But he was world class. Rubinho was world class. He wasn't great. I mean, to be fair, Rubinho wasn't that bad for us either. It's just he was so fucking inconsistent with it. But it wasn't that bad for us. But anyway, I do get where they're coming from. Ultimately, for me, I hope no one's gonna fucking. This is why I'm just hoping we get other transfer news because I'm bored of talking on it. I just hope we don't pay too much for it.
Come? Because by the way, we don't get right.
Terms, if we don't get Wirtz, then please go and get Cherky. Please go and Cherky because. If we go and show an interest in Cherky, he'll turn his back on them lot. But I do think we get Wirtz. I really do think we get Wirtz. And by the way, Martin, do you want Gibbs-White?
I don't know why Andy's on the wind up. You tell that bald fraud to get on here.
Yeah, I think
because Andy hates Gibbs-White because he's a rag. That's why Andy hates him because he's a rag.
Is he?
Yeah, that's why he hates him.
Ooh. Oh, well, there's another reason for me to dislike him, to be fair. Is he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a rag.
Makes sense. He's not from Manchester, to be
fair.
Do
you know what's going on with it? Is the fans think they can choose players. And we can't. I'm not saying I have to agree, but it's like I'll go back to it again. It's the nastiness that's coming with this one.
Yeah. I think this
There's
is a good
nastiness
point.
behind it. I don't get the nastiness.
Do you know what? I do think this is a good point. That if we were winning the league this season, right? If De Bruyne was still in his prime, if Bernardo Silva was still in his prime, and we were bringing in Gibbs-White as a squad player, I don't think the kickoff would be as good. Do you know what? I agree with this as well, by the way. I think Vardy's world class. I think Vardy's fucking...
There's a lot of fans who attacked him earlier on the season.
Mate, he's been our best defender the last 2 seasons in both positions.
But like you got, but the fan. Listen, fans can have all the opinions they want. I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
But I'm allowed my opinion. The thing that's peeing me off at the minute is, well, when I give my opinion, I'm told I'm wrong. Right? Well, your opinion's wrong then.
Oh, 100%, bro. But that's why we do these shows.
To me,
bro,
Martin, your opinion's wrong.
Martin, would you
when I don't agree with their opinion, I turn around and say that. I'm allowed my opinion. I'll be honest with you. I think our fan base, a lot in our fan base, have become entitled, spoiled brats. And I've said it on all my shows.
Martin, would you say, though, this season...
I've said it on Spaces. As a fan base, we've changed. And I don't like it. It upsets me. It upsets me. We've changed as a fan base.
No, we haven't. We
have. No, we have.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. We've become a bigger fan base. And when you become bigger, you have more opinions, right? Our fan base is not... You know what? If you were to go... All right, our fan base size hasn't changed, Martin. Is that what you're saying?
We've become a massive global phenomenon.
Right, so our fan base has become... So, no, we weren't. No, we weren't, Martin.
I'm saying City have always been a massive club.
No, we haven't. We haven't always been a massive club. Bro, be real. We're Little City and that's fine.
Oh,
you're changing. You're changing. You are changing because you now literally have created this narrative that we've always been a big club. Define big. The way I had to define world class, define big.
Well, we're the first major team to win the FA Cup before Arsenal, United, or anyone else. We were the first English team to win a domestic trophy and a European trophy in 69-70. We've got the English record for highest league attendance in not league, but highest attendance in English football. Come to carry on.
So tell me,
we'd already won 2 league titles before anyone.
Tell me some big clubs abroad.
Well, you got Valencia, you got Juventus, you got Inter Milan, AC Milan. What do you want me to do?
Well, Valencia aren't a big club.
They were back in the 90s.
I hear you, Martin, but we were.
So hang on a minute. Hang on. Where did we buy David Silva from? Where did David Villa come from?
That doesn't make them a big club. Buying a player from... Hold on. What are we doing here? Hold on. Are you saying if you buy a player from a club, automatically that makes them a big club?
No. What I'm saying is that I believe Valencia in the 90s were a big club.
Martin, you know we weren't a big club. Because when we talk big club, yeah, you know what we're talking about. I'm not saying we have no history. You know I'm not saying that. So don't make out I'm trying to say we had no history. We've had history, but big clubs, yeah. We weren't a big club.
I disagree with you.
Fair enough. I guess we have a different opinion on big, I guess. But
yeah, you're talking about the European heritage and everything else.
I'm talking about
one of the biggest original clubs in England.
So for me, I hate the term. First and foremost, I hate the term big. Right? I hate the term big club. Well, I hate it. I fucking hate it. Right? Because it was never about that. It always used to be about winning trophies. Right? This big club thing is the biggest bullshit. Because when you're
talking a massive club.
Because when you're talking big, for me, I presume you're talking fan base, the size of your fan base, right? And I don't give a shit if we've got fucking 20,000 fans or fucking 100,000 fans. Couldn't give a shit, right? Honestly, because it was not a thing when we were kids. It was about what you were doing, what you were winning, the football you played, not about the size of your fan base. But anyway, we've moved away from this. Let's get on to, I just want to ask you one last thing. Away from the homegrown quota, away from the price being paid, do you want Morgan Gibbs-White?
Personally, for me, I would like better, but
Right, okay.
I said that from the outset.
No, I think it's important that we're having a debate about it because that's what we do, right?
Well, again,
That's
I'm
what we
told you
do.
my issue. My issue is not the player; it's the way
It's the way he's being treated.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would like to think and would like to hope, right, that our fan base, once the deal is done, get behind him, right? And we know at games people will get behind him.
Yeah.
But my biggest worry is the pressure on him from the fee and that on top of fans turning on him. So I do agree with you that. What about where do you want him when we get him? Because we know we're getting him.
I don't think it'll be a 10. It'll be an 8, and I think he'll get rotated. I think he'll play a lot of games. But I think the idea for next season is to get a bigger squad. Far bigger squad than we've got now. And we go, I think it will also depend on who we move out. I don't know about this other guy from Galatasaray either.
And that does actually seem
to have legs.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
apparently, by the way, from what I've heard, he also does have legs.
Well, I hope so.
No, as in he's an engine. I have heard that he's an engine as well. But I'm going to speak to Jake about it a lot more.
Linked with, we seem to be getting linked with people, and Pep's talked about this in a lot of post matches this year. The game changing. It's now being able to have engines and running and non-stop running around and being a bit more physical and being a bit more up for it. I think we're going to see less. How do I put it? Less sort of skillful things and more brute force at times. I think that's what we may see next season from our midfield.
Well, do you know there is some. That's what we're seeing, right? That's what we're missing at the moment, but kind of a bit what we're seeing at the moment, as far as the creativity is not coming from the midfield at the. Apologies, hay fever is really bad. The creativity isn't coming from midfield at the moment. The creativity is more coming from the flanks, more coming from the people up top. So that would make sense. And I think we have missed. It's something that we've screamed about this season, right? That we do need legs and we do need energy and we do need physicality. I do think we've lost physicality. If you sit and look at, right, if you go and look at City under Mancini, City under Pellegrini, and we probably still carried it into early days of Pep, we were far more physical, far more physical. I think at a point, I was only saying this the other day, Lescott, Company, Kolo Touré, Kolarov, Zabaleta, De Jong.
But that was under Mancini.
Hold on. It's phasing all over the place because if we're talking Kolarov and Zabaleta, that's also under Pellegrini as well. Midfield, De Jong, Yaya, Fernandinho. We were a lot stronger. We were. And I do think we need to get some of that back. That's why I kind of like Gonzalez, because Gonzalez has got a bit of physicality about it.
Okay, then. Can I ask you a question? I think it's a great point it's made.
God, people in the comments, you lot are really going with this. Yeah, Barry, I was going to mention. They're really going with this.
Be accepted now.
Right. I think Barry's a really fucking good one to bring up because
I thought he was phenomenal, by the way.
I did. Bo, can you not remember what I said earlier this season? That for me, Declan Rice is Declan Rice is Gareth Barry without a trophy, without a league trophy, right? And then Arsenal fans started kicking off saying, "Nah, that you're taking the piss." And I said, "Oh, you think that's an insult on Rice? It's not an insult on Rice at all. Gareth Barry was exactly what we needed at the time. Exactly what we needed." And look, I hear it because Morgan Gibbs-White could come in and be that. But at the same time, how much do we pay for Gareth Barry?
Was it 40?
And also at that point, right, we go back to one of your first questions. One of your first questions was, where did it become Wirtz or Gibbs-White, right? And this is a thing that if we get Wirtz, all of a sudden, what we need Gibbs-White for becomes completely different. But at the moment, I think people are thinking, no, we're bringing in Morgan Gibbs-White when we need a game changer.
Yeah.
And that isn't necessarily what we're bringing him in for.
Well, exactly. But we're bringing him in as a number 8. 12 to 15 mil we signed him for.
What, Barry?
Yeah.
12 to 15 mil?
Yeah, 12 million up to 15 with add-ons.
Fucking hell. Do you know what? I thought we paid a lot more than that for him. Fucking hell, that's cheap as chips for Barry back then.
Mm.
And there you go. You look at when we bought Barry and the other players we had. He came in, he was perfect for us then, right? If Barry was the first player to come in, maybe we wouldn't have been as happy. Do you know what I mean? And I think this is the biggest issue with this Morgan Gibbs-White thing. If he was if he was like the third player to come in and we bring in Wirtz and we bring in someone else, all of a sudden I think the fan base would then see the picture
That's
bigger.
what
But
I'm
at the
saying.
moment,
That's the initial thing. It's never been Morgan Gibbs-White or Wirtz.
yeah.
The
Well,
plan is
Ornstein
both.
made it like that.
The plan is
Unfortunately,
both.
yeah.
I don't know.
And
It
that's
was
important for
not
people
A
to know
or
that.
B. It was A and B. There was no or. It was and B.
What? Yeah, the way Ornstein worded it was a bit shit.
Yeah, maybe that's where it's like
On
I know
purpose.
This 100 million has come from Talk Sport, and I listened to Jack Gordon's podcast, and he said City will want to get him on their terms.
Yeah.
And do you know what will help that? Is Gibbs-White will push for the move.
So on this one, sorry, there's a comment here I want to bring up quickly. We're going to wrap up in a minute, people. Cass has got to do a show, so I've got to move from the hot seat. Stay where you are.
Get out.
Okay. But I'm being evicted. But basically, this one, did anyone watch Gibbs-White in the 8 role? And here's the key, someone that did. Someone that has been waxing lyrical about Morgan Gibbs-White until basically he's had to face the fact that Morgan Gibbs-White is leaving his club, and that's Wolfie. And Wolfie has told me whenever Morgan Gibbs-White has played in the 8 role, he's been very, very, very good, right? But the sample size is small. And that's why at this point, if we're getting him, I just want to get him, see him in the 8 role, and then judge him, not judge him before he comes. But anyway, this topic will continue to go on because...
the thing is, I get why people are a bit nervous. I get the PTSD. I get everything. But the only thing I would say is, if you go through all our signings under Pep Guardiola, you can probably count on one hand the bad ones.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. We
generally had more hits than we had misses.
Yeah. And I've seen a fact before that I think it's
something
like 1 in 3 players
this is
left.
all my point. What has happened to backing the players?
But we haven't bought him yet.
See what happens.
Martin, this goes back to our conversation last week and what I said. If we sign him, right, and this is where we have to at least say, do you know what? The club haven't signed him yet. I'm telling you now, I will back him 1,000,000%. I'll still back Nunes, right? I was backing Nunes. I will back any player we sign. But before the player is signed, there is no harm in having a conversation about it.
No,
I agree.
I agree with
1,000%.
You can have an analytical opinion.
Yeah.
My issue is the opinions are not analytical.
Yeah, and the stuff online's mental.
Saying someone's shit is not analytical.
Well, the ones for me is at the moment, like the comparing him to De Bruyne, I find that mental because it's like we're not bringing him in to be the De Bruyne. So I don't even.
If I turned around and I said to the pupils at my former school, "Oh, you're rubbish," and I put that on the feedback form at parents' evening.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the parents? Well, that's great analysis. Thanks for that. He's rubbish.
And that's why I am where I am. That it's like I just want him at the club now so we can actually judge him. And do you know what I mean? See him in the fucking 8 role.
That's it. That's the whole point. Formidable's got it in a nutshell there. MGW isn't. That's a lot of the issue, Daps.
Well, that's shit. Because I do hear you.
And that's not at Formidable. Yeah. A lot of people are saying that. It's not the wow signing.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, this
Wirtz is Wirtz. If we get Wirtz, that will be the wow signing. You're not going to get 5 players of Wirtz's ilk.
Yeah, no,
you're just not, because we'll be bankrupt.
Yeah, and again, we don't make too many Welsh signings. We wait for them to land. We do make some. I do agree with you. At times Martin, you and I are guilty of it. We have become spoiled at times, right? But that's because
there's nothing wrong with that.
We have been spoiled.
Just own it. Just own it and say, yes, we've become a bit spoiled. I'm fine with it. I've no problem with it. Just own it. I've not. I can't help the way I am. I've not.
This is it, right? This is it. Let me put up 2 comments and we're going to wrap it up. This one here, you need Wirtz to take the heat off Gibbs-White. I agree, right? If we got the Wirtz deal done first, yeah, then okay, we now know we have the Walsh signing, because no one makes every signing in a transfer window is never a Walsh signing. Morgan Gibbs-White is a meh signing. But again, if we've got the Walsh signing, I don't mind a worse signing a meh signing if that means he's coming in to be a squad player and do the engine, right? I just think it is what it is. That's where I think you have to wait till the transfer window is closed before you judge it. You can't judge it before it's even open.
People are doing it on Diego Costa now. Some don't want Diego Costa, and that's fine.
Yeah. I hear you.
For me, but I would suggest go and watch Nobbin's video on that, because under a certain, we're looking on, is it Y Scout? He's in the top 2 or 3 goalies in the whole of Europe. Costa.
Yeah. Let's not get started on that. Right, people. Thank you to all 310, 315 of you who've been here. Give the like button one more push if you haven't already. We will be back tonight with the boys in blue, myself, Martin, Steve, Tone, and Nobbins at 6 p.m. This is going to redirect over to Cass's channel right now. Listen, it's a Rags channel, so stay where you are, please. Stay where you are. Every single one of you, stay exactly where you are. Don't go anywhere. Go over there, hit the like button just to help him out, right? Even though he's a rag, he's cool. And then give him some shit in the comments, right? But please stay where you are. Go over there. He's going to be going live straight away, and we'll be back at 6 p.m. tonight. Chat. Oh, one last super chat. Sorry. What is it? Yes, Pip Blup. I'm a little sad that Kevin is leaving. He is like my 23rd favourite City player of all time. Sunjay, number 1, of course. Much love, fellow MGW enjoys. Appreciate the super chat. Right, we will be back at 6 p.m. As I said, stay where you are and give Cass some shit. We're out.